my sciatic pain went away after 10 years. I was just walking around. I was just like, I completely forgot the pain was there. But as I was walking around, maybe like 3, 4 weeks later, I realized that the sciatic pain's gone. I haven't had any pain putting my socks on or any pain getting up or out of the bed. It was excruciating.
Hello, and welcome to That's Just Human, a podcast that explores all aspects of being human, living in a human body, and dealing with life's obstacles. I'm Elisha Light Angel, your host, and by day I'm a massage therapist, but like you, I also happen to live in a human body and have a plethora of human experiences, and I like to chat about all of it. Today, I'm really excited to be bringing on a special guest. We met in a Facebook podcasting group, and he stood out because of what he does and how he really helps people, transforms lives. And I am super excited to get to hear more about his story and what he does and how he can help any of you out there that might be looking. So please join me in welcoming to the show Aaron Washburn. He is a hypnotist, an emotional decoding expert, and the creator of emotional mapping technique, which is a healing system that reveals what your body's trying to tell you through pain and tension. So what he does is he helps people to reverse engineer all of the physical symptoms back into energy and motion. And he helps clients release years of pain in a single session. Amazing. His work bridges neuroscience, language, and spirituality to help connect people with the version of themselves that they were before the world taught them who they need to be or should be. So thank you for coming on the show, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here.
Me too. So let's start with a little bit about what you do and kind of what that is a little bit deeper, and then we'll go into some more questions and they'll come to me as we chat.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, so everything that I do, it all really started about 5 years ago. And uh, I had experienced sciatic pain on both sides of my body for about 10 years, I believe. And I just came across what most people I think would call inner child healing. And it kind of just came to me intuitively. I didn't know that world existed. And I'll share more about that story as well. But it allowed me to receive some of the sacred knowledge that's out there that has been forgotten. And so I was introduced to body language translations first. And then over time, as I started practicing that within myself, I was also introduced to hypnosis, which we're all aware of. I feel that. And as I was learning hypnosis, as I was learning body language translations at the same time, I started to understand how the mind and how the body can work as a unit versus compartmentalizing it all. And as soon as I started learning that you can both work with the mind and body at the same time, I started seeing huge transformations with every client that I was working with. And then even within myself, when I intuitively did that for myself before I learned that, my sciatic pain went away after 10 years. I was just walking around. I was just like, I completely forgot the pain was there. But as I was walking around, maybe like 3, 4 weeks later, I realized that the sciatic pain's gone. I haven't had any pain putting my socks on or any pain getting up or out of the bed. It was excruciating. So the work that I do really came from learning body language translations, translating the physical symptoms in the body emotionally, so that way we can allow ourselves to feel them. And at the same time, as we feel them, memories or a version of ourselves in our mind that represents that feeling will come up from that feeling in our mind. So we take care of what's in our mind, take care of the emotions in the body as a unit together, and it allows that transformation to happen, to tell the nervous system, hey, we can close the circuit now. We don't need this physical symptom anymore. It doesn't serve us anymore. So here's a new way to transmute this feeling versus it being physical.
Mm, I really like that. And I like that you're talking to the nervous system because as a massage therapist, I'm highly familiar with sciatic pain,
Yeah,
not just from people that have come and see me on a frequent basis that are experiencing it, but I've also experienced it myself. And so obviously my tools have been a lot more physical in the body. So if I'm working on somebody, I'm, pressing on muscles or pressing on this area.
right.
But as a massage therapist, people think we just go in and beat you up.
That's
But
right. I get that.
but we actually have to work with your nervous system to help it to let go, or the muscles are just going to stay tense. So it's also part of that process. But we're not going in like you are and asking, what emotion comes up when I'm pressing on this area. Although I'm highly interested on
Amazing.
what would happen if you could take what I do physically and then like what you do emotionally and mentally and combine them, and what kind of amazing experiences and transformations that a person could have. So the fact that you healed sciatic pain just using this is phenomenal. Did you try anything else prior to coming into this to combat that didn't work for you?
Yeah, I did try some pure, I believe it was a pure form of stretches, to stretch that area or the psoas muscle. And I remember, I think a physical therapist told me one time to put a golf ball in that area, and it was very painful, of course. Uh, we gave it some relief for maybe like 20 minutes, and it just started coming back. And I realized the moments that did come back were the moments where I was thinking of my mom, which I'm going to really go into my story there. When I was thinking of my mom, or any moments that were like highly stressful, I would think of my mom. The muscles in those areas would tense up and start pressing up against my sciatic nerve. And so everything that I tried to stretch, massage it, specifically in the area as well, none of it was benefiting me for a long term way.
Wow, what great body awareness and mental awareness to associate those two together. Let's delve a little deeper into your story and what this journey that kind of even led you into learning about the existence of connecting emotions to the body, because I'm sure you didn't start out that way.
No, yeah, absolutely not. I definitely don't have the awareness that I do now. It took me about 12 years. Yeah, all this really started when it was in 2012, but I'll go maybe 3 years before that as well. I was in high school during that time. I was only 16 years old. After school, there's one day after school where I went home, and as I went home, my parents were in the back, and for some reason they don't often do this, but they called me to the back of the room. And as I went into the apartment and inside the apartment, I just got this weird energy I haven't felt before. But I walked to the back. My mom was in the bathroom. My dad was to the left of me, and this is where it all started. Was when they gave me some very significant news that I didn't realize what it really was at 16. But my mom ended up telling me after about 5 minutes of silence. She said, or actually, my mom didn't tell my dad. My dad said that your mom has been diagnosed with lung cancer. So as soon as she shared that with me, or he shared that with me, I just kind of see the sadness in my mom's face. And then everything went inaudible after that. It was just they were talking, but I kind of walked away, sat on the bed. I didn't really know what lung cancer was during that time, but I just felt like it was bad. Felt like maybe death was coming. So for a couple months after that, I started seeing the significance of being diagnosed with lung cancer. My mom was going through the 3 stages of it. She went, I could just see her body just deteriorating and like giving up. So she went from one of those canes to a walker to a wheelchair, and she was fighting it. So she went back to um, a walker and back to the cane, but she just couldn't keep fighting it. So eventually she just stayed within that wheelchair. And then fast forward, there was a night before um, this significant day came, she just asked. I had my little brother there, my dad there, and my grandma there, and my older brother was in the military in boot camp, and she was trying to stay alive until my older brother came back from boot camp so she can see him. So I could tell that she was, but there's one night where she asked all of us to give her a hug. And at this point, her whole left side was just numb, and you can hear her gargling in the throat for whatever that lung cancer was. And for somehow she was able to lift her left arm up and give each one of us a hug. That hug also felt different. It felt like this was like a goodbye hug, especially with all that willpower that she had to be able to lift that arm up. So she gave my little brother a hug, gave me a hug, gave my dad a hug, gave my grandma a hug. And then like the next day, she was basically checked out. Like the next day, and I was 17 years old at this time. Look into her eyes were rolled up. Basically, the only thing that was keeping her alive was the oxygen tank. And I actually didn't know this until like 2 years ago, but my dad wasn't able to do it. And he knew that it was time for my mom to go. So my dad actually asked me to pull my mom's plug. And it was a very like vivid memory, or not vivid. It was like a memory that I suppressed for a long time. But I ended up pulling the plug, came back, sat at the end of the bed, and I just watched my mom take her last couple breaths. And then eventually her chest stopped rising. And she was, I really felt like her soul or her spirit just left her body. So in that moment, it was weird because I didn't cry. And I always felt that I was always a bad son for that. But I had to call my uncle after that to tell my family that she passed. So in that moment from 2012, just fast forwarding from there too, from 2012, my dad, after she passed, ended up moving to these different states. But between that time from 2012 to 2020, I was just in this deep state of depression. And I remember after she passed, I had like this like deep pain of sciatica. I didn't know what it was, and it's just painful shooting down my leg for the longest time. From 2012 to 2020, I had that deep pain. And then through that time, I was also very depressed. I was very angry. And I was trying to work out to feel better. It was an outlet for me. But through 2012 to 2020, was that 8 years, I believe, there was a point where on that eighth year, in 2020, doing the same thing for so many years, nothing was helping. For some reason in 2020, I heard this voice in my head just say, stay still. Because I was going through a lot of pain. I was slowly getting outside of my depression. The depression hit me again. And I tried to work out to feel better. Nothing was working on that same day. So that same day of trying all my old habits, all of the old things I used to do to try to feel better, something said, stay still in 2020. I'm like, okay. So I closed my eyes, and then I finally felt like these feelings come up my body, because I was also numb for those 8 years. These feelings came up my body like a tsunami, just hit me hard. And then all of a sudden, as it hit me, I was just bawling. I was crying. I was sitting in silence, but just crying. And then that's where the memory came up in my head. But this time, it was a different way of seeing this memory. So when I closed my eyes, or as my eyes were closed, I saw my 17-year-old self witnessing my mom pass away again. And it was interesting because I intuitively just walked up to that version of myself. And then it was like he turned around and looked at me. So I was able to see his eyes, which was my eyes. And I was able to see that he was looking sad, lonely, painful, confused, all those emotions. And automatically I said out loud to him, you're allowed to feel sad. You're allowed to feel this pain. You're allowed to feel lonely. You're allowed to feel confused. I was validating those feelings for that version of myself. And for some reason, I just wanted to give myself a hug. So I gave myself a hug. And during that time, just what was coming out of me, I just felt like everything I needed to hear from my dad during that time, I was telling that to myself, because my dad wasn't able to when my mom was passing. He was watching his wife pass. So I said, none of this is your fault. It's okay to feel these feelings. You're allowed to feel this, and we're going to get through this. Everything I needed to hear. And then as soon as I was saying that, I just felt this relief wash over my body, just a lot of relief. So I eventually um, released the hug, and I looked into my eyes, and my eyes, they looked different. They looked more heard, they more seen, more loved, much more relief. And then we both were like looking at my mom and just gave her a kiss on the forehead and just told her we're going to be okay. And gave her a hug, gave myself a hug. And I kind of just opened my eyes from there. And when I opened my eyes, I just felt like all this depression that was depressing down for so long had finally had some release of that grief, the anger, the confusion, everything that I felt during that time. And I just opened my eyes. It felt like to a whole new world. And after a couple of days went by, this is where we catch up to what I was sharing earlier. I was a couple of days or a couple of weeks. I felt like I was high off of life. And I started realizing that the pain that I was feeling for those 8 years, it was gone. It was gone. I was like, what's going on here? And I can play football again. I really love football. And then I was like, I have to figure out what I did here. I have to figure out what I did here. So I just kept saying that I'm going to find out what I did here. I'm going to get certified in whatever it is. And during that time, I had an online fitness program for nurses. And for these nurses, I was sharing with them what I experienced. And my mom was a nurse as well. And from what I experienced, and then I was telling them, if you're open for me to try this on you, then we can kind of see what comes up from it. So I had nurses that had knee pain, back pain, and we went through what I went through in my mind, and that their knee pain started going away. Their back pain started going away. I was like, there's something here. And then eventually I had a friend that was hosting a podcast. And in that podcast, there's this man, his name is Brian Johnson. He was teaching about body language translations. And then I was hearing him, like, he was talking about sciatica. I believe he was talking about sciatica, and it clicked for me. I'm like, this sounds like what I was going through. And then I started studying Brian Johnson's work, which is body language translations. And as I was starting that, learning that, I was applying it with my nurses. And then the guy that was hosting that podcast was also a hypnotist as well. So then I started learning his work. And then I started pairing that up together, because there's moments when I was working with these nurses and I was able to help relieve the pain that they're experiencing, but sometimes it would come back. So then as I was learning hypnosis, I was learning about the mind. So every time it came back for them, it was also bringing back a memory, the same way my memory came from my mom. So that memory also needed to be taken care of as I was helping them regulate the feelings in their body, translating their physical symptoms. So after doing those two together, it was like long lasting for them until some new changes come up in their life. And I just dedicated my work since 2020, just learning body language translations, hypnosis, and then learning the emotions inside of the body, which then led me to this moment right here, talking with you. And through that whole experience, I realized that all this work of doing this, it really does feel that the sacred knowledge is just helping us remember, who we are, and the power of our mind and body when we know how to use it as a tool it's supposed to be used as. So that's my story. Hopefully I didn't take too long there, but thank you for letting me share that. It's been a long time since I shared it.
Wow, you didn't take too long at all. That
Thank you.
is quite incredible. I teared up, but I didn't cry. Yeah, very powerful that you have come across these. So before you had this moment where you just heard this voice to tell you to slow down, had you experienced meditation before?
I think that's probably what it was. I think about a month ago, I did a Joe Dispenza meditation. And the reason why I came across that was because I hired a mentor to teach me how to run my online fitness program. And he had a friend that he was sharing about a story where everyone was going to lunch, but his friend told me, I can't go to lunch right now. I didn't meditate. I have to meditate before I go. I'm like, if I want to be successful like him and he wants to meditate and really holds on to that practice, I should try that. I didn't know what that outcome would be. And so I ended up finding Joe Dispenza's meditation. I meditated for about an hour, and I just like cleared my mind, cleared my thoughts, and I was high off of life for like a week. And then that missing piece that I didn't tell you is where I got hit with depression again. I was like, what the heck? So as I got hit with depression again, that's when I started realizing there's a new pattern that was coming up for me, where then I heard that voice say, stay still. So I believe it was that meditation that led me to that moment of saying, hearing, stay still. And that's where I had my spiritual awakening right there.
Wow, that is so incredible. And what amazing results that you've had, not only in your own life, but for the people that you've been able to help, it sounds like. And that's really incredible too. And I think the world needs way more of that. And I think we're in a time too where we are learning how much the mind-body connection is pivotal to our healing, because we've been treating parts of us
Yeah.
for so many years, and we're a whole being. So when you're ignoring the other parts, it's not encompassing everything that's whole about you. And so I'm really interested that you've learned hypnosis and then this body language um, technique, and then now you've created your own emotional mapping technique. So can you explain a little bit about that and kind of how that works for people?
Yeah, absolutely. The emotional mapping technique, the emotion part, I think I heard this quote where with the emotions are energy in motion. So we're able to find out what energy is not in motion within the body, being physical tension that people experience, pain that people experience, and even going as beyond as disease that people experience in their body, or dis-ease. And then being able to bring that energy back into motion, emotions, to be able to feel through them, which then reverse engineers that process of how it was created. So emotional mapping technique is energy in motion, and then mapping out where in the body that they feel that tension, tightness, or where in the body where they're experiencing that dis-ease, disharmony that they're experiencing in their body. So we're able to map out where at in the body and how to translate that, and then go through the whole process. I call it 3-step process in the mind, body, and then being able to bring them into a new place in their mind. And then when you bring them to a new place in their mind from that memory, then in the body also feels at peace. So then we just completely reframe that memory, transmuted the energy inside the body, and then it's a whole new nervous system. And there's this quote by Dr. David Snyder. He said that some of these quotes are really foundation to all this work. Is he said, it's not our past experiences or trauma that made us who we are today. It's how we recorded them, the past experiences or the trauma that made us who we are today. So when you change the recording, it changes your personality, which then changes your person reality. That last part was Joe Dispenza. So I just paired up those two quotes. And with emotional mapping technique, where we're able to identify the feelings inside the body, hold space for those feelings, using conscious language to start feeling them. And then as we start to feel them, we go into trance, because every emotion, every highly emotional state that we're in, we go into trance. That's what hypnosis is. We go into trance. We go back to a version of ourselves in our past, in our adult body right now. So we're literally in trance, back in the past. The memory will bring up from what we're feeling in the body. Either the memory will be brought up, or a version of themselves in their mind that represents that feeling in their body. And then we're able to close our eyes and then walk up to that version of ourselves the same way that I did with my mom, and give them everything that they need. And then there's a lot of times where we can have dialogue with that version of ourselves, where we can ask them, would you like to stay here? Or would you like to go somewhere new, somewhere peaceful? And a lot of the times, 99% of the time, they would say, I want to go somewhere new from that memory, because that memory could be traumatic. So we take that version of them and then bring them to a new peaceful place that they love. Could be the beach, wherever it is, and then be able to still have that inner dialogue with them and take care of them in that area. And then from that moment, the whole nervous system is regulated. The memory is already shifted. So when they open their eyes, whatever pain that they're experiencing in their body, their mind, because they're back in rest and digest. We could talk about science behind this too. Because they're back in rest and digest, the chemicals released into the body will be more of that serotonin, the feel good hormones, more of the endorphins, which is like 50 times more powerful than opioids to really help heal the body. And then of course melatonin. And the best part too that I always find is oxytocin released into the body, which helps create more neuroplasticity, which then helps create more new neural pathways that serve us. So long story short, with EMT, what we do with EMT is we bring someone from fight, flight, freeze, which anyone that has any physical symptoms in the body that they experience, they're in fight, flight, freeze. And then by regulating those emotions, understanding where they're at in the body and translating and then regulating, we then move them back to rest and digest. The longer they're in rest and digest, which they can't be 24/7, but the longer they allow themselves to go in rest and digest, more healing happens in their body. And that's how we use EMT.
That's really cool. So when somebody does a session, is it usually like a one-off session, or do they need a series of different sessions to help really get the results, or does that depend on the amount of trauma that the person has been through?
Really great question. The last part you said, it does depend on the amount of trauma that they've been through. And now there are some cases where we take one traumatic event and it can take care of like 5 other traumatic events that are correlated to that. So a lot of times in the beginning, I was only doing 2 to 4 sessions. I took a lot of pride in fast transformational work. And then after that, they would always message me because another quote that Dr. David Snyder says, he said, everything starts and ends with the feelings. So why not start there? So when we took care of those feelings and they started finding relief in the physical body, they have a whole new nervous system now where they are finding it hard to respond versus react. So I had a client that she was feeling anger for most of her life. And there's a moment where she had an event that used to trigger the anger, but she just felt like she was numb. So she messaged me. She's like, I don't feel anger anymore. I know that was the work we're still doing. But is this normal? That's how fast it was for her. Like, is it normal for me not to feel anger? And then how do I respond to this? So between those 2 to 4 sessions, after that, I realized that they just needed some mentorship on responding to these events in new ways. And they just need guidance, because even after, the crazy thing is, after that transformational work, they go through it in their lives. Like their whole life is falling apart after taking care of these traumatic events that ended up showing physically in their body. The reason why they go through it is because the new world will cost you the old world. So then that's where that question is, is it related to how much of the traumatic events they experienced in the past? Is because after they start feeling more elated and more better feelings, their other past experiences will start to come up. And as they start to come up, other tension tightness starts to come up in their body, because now they're becoming so aware, which is 3 levels of healing here. So level 1 is awareness, level 2 is emotional regulation, level 3 is emotional mastery or self-mastery. So as I go through those first 2 to 4 sessions, then the old world starts to fall apart. More triggers start to come out, because those triggers are giving us the opportunity to hear, see, and love that past version of themselves. So they're ready. So that's the old world. The old world that falls apart is more of the triggers that come up for us to take care of. And then that's when it eventually goes into around like 4 to 8 to 12 sessions. Usually by the 12th session, depending on even if they had a lot of traumatic experiences in the past, they're much more like, their physical body is good. Like the pain does go away, but now it's the emotions that are like to the surface now. They feel ready to explore those emotions. Their subconscious like, here's more, since we kind of opened the vault. And I feel like in a lot of society right now, not a lot of us are aware and know how to feel those emotions. So when we tap into those emotions again, each emotion that we tap into brings up more for them to heal through. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So what's a typical turnaround? Like people see you maybe once a month or so? Because I know you said with your own healing, you felt after one meditation, you were like elated for a whole week. And then that after that week, that kind of wore off, and then you felt some of the depression come back. So is there a normal or average turnaround that you've noticed for people that the sessions are timed out?
Yeah, I normally have sessions once a week, and they're about an hour. And when let's say that's knee pain, or actually, no, let's say it's migraines. I had a client that had 17 years of migraines. And we had one session together. When we went through that session, I was asking her questions that would bring up the emotions in the body. And then we started going through phase two, which is I give myself permission to feel whatever the migraine was experiencing. So with migraines, the translations to that can be painful thoughts, painful memories, thoughts that create tension in the body, especially in the shoulders, that can pull down this area and cause tension headaches. And in those moments when she was allowing herself to feel these painful thoughts that were coming up, and then we check in with the heart was letting her know there's a lot of pain there. So I give myself permission to feel this pain in my body. It's okay. It brought her back to a memory where she was young, of course, and then she was, I'm not going to go into detail, but something traumatic happened to her. So she ended up taking herself to the bath. We just washed her up and cleaned her up and gave her everything that she needed during that time. And after that session, after she went through that, she also brought herself to this very sunny, grassy area. There's a lot of times where it feels like I start taking these memories in a good way. But she brought her there. And after that session, she no longer had migraines anymore. And however, the migraines did go away, and she'd feel like elated. And then other emotions start to come up that were similar to what she felt to help relieve the migraine. And a lot of times when people are on their spiritual journey or their healing journey, because that pain, the emotion of pain, could be hurt. Let's say that we took care of hurt for that migraine and hurt came back up 2 weeks later. It's not that we go backwards. We never go backwards in this work. We only continue moving forward. We're just getting to another layer of where that hurt is coming from another part of their past that is ready to be seen, heard, and loved. So each time that we experience one emotion or two or even multiple, we're just going through different layers and then different layers. And as we clear up those different layers that might be associated to even deeper layers, what happens is they start to have a new emotional baseline. So someone's emotional baseline before, let's say before she came to me for the migraines, her emotional baseline was just feeling betrayed, angry or sadness that she's experiencing. After she went through that, it was more of neutral and a little bit more happiness, and then feeling elated for that week. And then after that, that's where these moments, the old world will start to fall apart. And then more triggers will come up. And then I guess with that turnaround that they would experience is a turnaround of different layers of the emotions that are ready to be felt.
That's really neat. Still, I'm really, really wowed by this and what you can do. So when people are obviously, this is, reprogramming the brain, reprogramming the nervous system, all within one session, do you have different techniques, or I would say maybe coping mechanisms, or something that you give people to take away with them that they can use when a triggering situation comes up?
Absolutely. So there's a system called ABRA that my body language coach created, Brian Johnson. And ABRA is just the conscious language that we use. Is I give myself permission. So as they're starting to, especially after the first session, when they start to allow themselves to feel again, it can feel weird at first because a lot of them have not felt all of their emotions in their past for so long. So after the session, I give them a PDF and a series of videos that they can watch for each emotion: sorrow, sadness, grief, frustration, resentment, anger, burdens, and then fear and anxiety is mostly what's felt. So, and then it's also like teaching them where they show up in the body as well. And so after the session, they'll have this, and they also have it in my school platform too, where all the courses are, where if they're feeling tension here, and this is where the translations come in, if they feel the tension here, they may be feeling sorrow, sadness, and grief. If it's in the chest and the stomach, which most people feel, fear and anxiety show up there. then that's where they will know fear and anxiety shows up there. There's tension in the back, anger, frustration, resentment, burdens can show up there. So they have these lists of, okay, now that I've identified where it feels at in my body, because sometimes people don't even know what they're feeling. So finding those areas of tension will help them identify what they're feeling, and then they can go into the process to regulate those feelings. And as everyone can first start out with, if someone's feeling tension here in the throat, they can start saying through that process, I give myself permission to feel any sorrow, sadness, and grief in my body, and it's okay. Now, the more specific we are, the more feeling we feel, and the more we start to regulate. So, sadness about what? I give myself permission to feel sadness about my mom passing away in 2012, and it's okay. So, we allow ourselves to feel them, and as we continue to feel them more, we then familiarize with them more. So as we familiarize with these emotions more, we have more control over them versus it having control over us. So we go through those same thing. I give myself permission to feel sadness if it's there, or if it's in the chest. I give myself permission to feel fear and anxiety in my chest, in my heart, and it's okay. And we just go through each one. So as they do that, then they start to become more familiar with their body and the emotions in their body. And then on the next session, they're just like an open book. Because they connected so much with those feelings that if there's less resistance in sharing maybe their deepest, darkest secrets that they never shared before, that's causing those physical pain in the body. So now we just drop resistance. It allows them to become more mastery in their emotions. And as they continue doing that, once they get so good at it, because when you transmute these emotions in your body, remember emotions are energy in motion, you're able to feel much better. And when you feel much better, you can do more. Not only that, but emotions are also your vibrational state as well. So now their vibrational state is much higher. And as their vibrational state is much higher, let's say that their vibrational state, emotional state is happiness. It's really hard to experience pain when you're happy. So because when you're happy, there's a physical and chemical response to that. I know I'm going a little bit deeper here, but when you feel happy, you start releasing more serotonin in the body, you start releasing more endorphins in the body. So it's really hard to experience this physical tension and pain in the body, because even as that's being released into the body, the muscles will start to relax as well, right? Because you're going in rest and digest. You're not always in fight, flight, freeze, expecting threat to hit you and you absorbing it, where you're tense up. You're tense because you're trying to absorb that threat that may not even exist. So going through these emotions over time regulates the body so much that you're starting releasing these hormones into your body, that what your body needs. And at the same time, if you think about it in vibrationally, you can't have this pain is experienced with emotional pain as well. When you're feeling happy, they're not in alignment with each other. So the body will start to heal itself because the pain can't resonate with a happier emotional state. Even if someone says they're happy, somewhere deep inside them, they're carrying some energy there from past experience. And that pain is just like or signaling to us, hey, there's something here. It's just like the dashboard inside the car. When it starts to go off, like check engine light on, our physical body is the same way, letting us know what's going on underneath the hood. So those are the tools that I give them in the beginning. And there's much more tools, but that was the biggest tool for them to go through that process. I give myself permission to feel, and then I choose to love my sadness into my joy. So when they start to choose to love is a great way to transmute the energy, emotion into joy. So every negative feeling that we feel, there's always a return of a positive feeling when we feel it. So joy will return back to you, faith, courage, discernment will return back to you. Sometimes forgiveness, compassion, and letting go will return back to you. So as they start to feel that and they get better at it, physical pain will show up in their body, tension will show up in their body. And because they're at a higher frequency and vibration, when they start saying this, I give myself permission, and they feel tension in their knee for like 5 minutes, like you can transmute this fast, and so fast that the pain will go away fast as well as you begin to have more mastery over it.
That's really cool. I did an interview with somebody that has rheumatoid arthritis, and part of her journey has actually been getting into her body and recognizing when emotions are showing up. So she
Beautiful.
has like her chronic pain, but then she also gets other pains that pop up. And so one of the things she talked about is when it pops up, that she'll just pause and kind of go into like a mini 1 minute meditation or something, and then just ask her body, like, what emotion is being held in my wrist right now, because I'm having this random wrist pain or this random leg pain. And that she'll usually have something that comes to her, and then at that she can go ahead and just allow herself to feel it, and then it releases
Yes.
pain, which I think is cool. And will think that other people could utilize that as a tool, especially people that are suffering chronic pain, because I imagine the more chronic pain that somebody is experiencing, they probably have a lot more trauma that they've held on to and for years since childhood. And then of course we just keep getting more traumas, because you can get more traumas in adult life.
Yes.
And just learning how to move through that. But something you said too is how people don't recognize what they're feeling. And I witness this a lot. I'll get people that come on my table, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. And I get to working on them, like, wow, you're really, really tight. Like
Yeah.
you're like working on a brick wall. You're not
Wow.
fine. And
Yeah.
then I'll have other people that I think are maybe a little bit more aware of their body, and they're like, oh man, you're going to have your work cut out for you today. I'm in so much pain. And I get there and it releases pretty quickly, and they don't have near as much tightness or tension as I feel in some other bodies. So it's from a palpable point, it's really interesting to observe that. And then also the stories that people
Yes.
give you along with whatever they think they're feeling. So do you have to teach people how to do a body scan sometimes to kind of figure out what it is that they're initially feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. The before language even existed, the way we communicate was through our body.
Mhm.
And so we're really just, it's not like even EMT or all these modalities that are becoming more recognized more in society now. We're just remembering that that used to exist. And with body language, we're able to, uh, like, even for doing this for about 5 years now, each area of tension in the body. Yes, I have this book called Metaphysical Anatomy, and it shows you like what emotions are stored there. But even through that, I never believed it at first. Like, how can someone just know? But through all the 5 years of working with clients, each one that shared with me, I started seeing the pattern. Those patterns were almost like the same, not the same story, but the same emotion behind each area of tension in the body or pain in the body. So just going to those areas of tension outside, or areas of tension like the throat, the chest, and the back are always a good place to start to scan your body from head to toe. Because I'm even working with a new client right now that is not even in tune with their body and doesn't even know how to feel. So they're just very logical. And I would ask them, is there any feelings that are showing up in your heart and your body right now? No, I don't feel anything. So then a tool to find there is, can you scan your body from head to toe and just let me know if you find any tension or tightness? And then he would say in his chest, and he would say in his back. So then he might not even know that those emotions exist there. So sometimes, even if I say allowing him to feel that, there might be some like defense come up, like, there's no anger in there. What are you saying? So then I would say, I want you to repeat after me. I give myself permission to feel any sorrow, sadness, or any fear and anxiety in my chest, and it's okay. And I give myself permission to feel any anger, and it's okay. And the beautiful thing about that is the body never lies. So with not even with body language translations, there's also Chase Hughes that I studied. He was a interrogator. He's very good body language behavior specialist. So he studied behavior. So as I'm saying to him, and he consciously may not even know the feelings that exist in the body, I give myself permission to feel anger. There's going to be movements in his face. He's going to move forward a little bit that's congruent with what he's saying, that yes, there's anger in his body without him even knowing. And there's moments where he might even bring his lips back like this, which is withholding your thoughts and emotions, withholding your expression. And you'll see that a lot when others are like trying to express something, but they may feel hesitant to express it. So as I'm giving myself permission to feel that, to having him say it out loud, he bites his lip down. I'm biting my expression. There's no anger there, but his body's moving forward at the same time to let me know, okay, there's some anger there. So then I can rephrase some of those. I give myself permission to hold space or to observe if there is any anger in my body. And I'm just trying to match his consciousness to the way his body's trying to express. And eventually they're going to meet together, where then he would tap into his feelings in a way that he hasn't felt in so long, especially with a lot of men. And it taps them into that, and it allows them to start feeling when he hasn't felt in so long, and reconnects back to his emotional body. And let me know if that answers your question. I think I forgot what your question was there. Okay,
well,
great.
I was talking about doing a body scan. You totally
went body scan
into that. Mm-hmm. So you answered my question very thoroughly. Thank you.
Beautiful. You're welcome.
So you offer courses and you offer one-on-one work.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Right now, I offer the courses, and then I have been training other student practitioners in my practice. So right now, I'm completely booked up. So I was able to train about 2 practitioners that are like fully ready to take on one-on-one, and so that helps me as they help more people as well. So with that, I also have a 4th wave of practitioners class that's coming up next year, but they can go apply one-on-one with those practitioners, or they can access the course where they can start learning how to do that themselves to be able to help clear physical tension, disharmony in the body.
That's awesome. I might be interested in that, actually.
Amazing.
Because it just sounds like combining that with body work could have some really phenomenally transformational changes that people could have. And I'm always looking to improve my skills or add more to my little toolbox.
Beautiful.
And someday my body's going to give out. Not today. But
not today.
Not today. I hope to do this work for many more years and improve upon it. So I'm very interested. You do have a free offer for people.
Correct.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so that free offer is the tier 1 of the course that I have. It's healing and emotional mastery, self-mastery. So they get into that course, and it teaches the science behind energy healing, which energy healing is energy and motions, emotions. But we're looking at emotions in a new way, or remembering what emotions actually are. It's energy and motion. So in that first course, they're going to learn what emotions are, and the science behind energy healing, which I was briefly talking about. There's always a physical and a chemical response to every emotion that we feel. So they're going to learn what those responses are and how our body tenses up and our posture changes based off of what emotions that we're not feeling. And then they'll also learn the tools to be able to regulate those feelings in the body, so that way they can start healing their body today.
I love that. And where can people find that course?
So in that course, I sent you the link there. It's School of Emotions on the platform called School.
Okay, yeah. I'll put a link in the show notes for sure. But sometimes people just need to hear it.
Yes.
Is there anywhere else that they could follow you on the internet?
Yeah, right now, most of the content that I post is on TikTok, and it's also called School of Emotions. And eventually this will be a whole university that I plan to create. But School of Emotions on TikTok, and then you'll start seeing me more on the side YouTube as well. School of Emotions. Everything School of Emotions.
I love it. Very consistent in your branding, which makes it easy to find you.
Absolutely.
Oh, this has been such a wonderful conversation, and I've learned so much from you today. Do you have any other just like piece of wisdom that you would like to leave the listeners with? Anything from your life?
A big piece of wisdom is, after sharing my story again, after it's been so long, it really hit my heart again. And I'm really missing my mom right now. Mm-hmm. So this wisdom that I want to really share with you is that knowing this work now, of course, my brain is going to be like, I wish I knew this then so I could have helped my mom. And I realized after doing this work for so long, there's always moments where I would remember my mom making amends with her family where the anger was stored. And a lot of times when we experience cancer, it's if we break down the word cancer, it's I can't do this, like I can, sir, I can't do this, I can't do that. There's a lot of apathy there. And I saw that in my mom in her life. And she held a lot of anger towards her family. So near the end of her passing, she called up most of her family members to make amends with. And as she was doing that, I can see that as I was 16, 17 years old, that it was bringing her relief. And because it was bringing her relief, doing this work now, it really shows me that healing doesn't take time, it takes courage, and courage collapses time. Mm. And it can be very scary to feel what you've been avoiding to feel for so long. But you get to choose to feel it now. And hopefully it doesn't happen the way it happened with mom, or you can choose to feel it when you're close to your today's the end of your days. But if you choose to feel it now, it's going to completely impact your entire life in a positive way. So I really wanted to just share that it takes massive courage to feel these feelings. And if you start feeling it now without being scared, really step into your bravery there. Your life will completely change. It'll flip around, and you'll be able to really honor yourself and change your life. Really listen to these words, because not a lot of people believe that emotions can affect your body, but it can, and then affect your life. So if you feel it now, I guarantee you it's inevitable for you not to experience more peace, happiness, and relief in your life.
That was really beautiful and well stated. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisha.
Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing your really heartfelt story, sharing what you do. And I hope that some people take advantage of your services and your free offer and make some positive transformations in their life.
Thank you so much. This is such a beautiful conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome. To my audience, as you embrace your humanness, be kind, be you, and remember, everything is part of the journey.